Hello, my little ice cubes, and welcome inside your big only sis, Calla Nevermelt, with yet another episode review of Don. And I sadly have bad news, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 12th episode, as in the end of Season 2, which means we have to wait till next year. Mind you, it has been confirmed that we are getting Season 3 of Don. So, of course, be hyped, get hyped, and by all means, get ready for the third season because it's gonna be just like this season and the last season, legendary. However, though, with that being said, let us continue and discuss this week's episode of Don. And sadly, we see that the characters are trying to figure out how the hell to use the mech, but they are sadly kinda, failing at that aspect and getting smoked by the kaiju. Although, again, you got how do you work it, and they push all sorts of buttons to the point where it's just breaking apart. It is not going nowhere. It is just basically destroying itself. And the kaiju, of course, Gamora, takes this as an opportunity to beat the ever-living shit out of the Gundam. And the next scene I absolutely love because we see, as they got blasted out of the mech, we have, of course, the evil eye not paying attention to what's going on around him, and more so focused on wanting to smoke Oakfern. He gets stomped on, only for it to not affect him, and just throw the giant kaiju off of him as if it was nothing at all. And I just love that. And I do wonder if the evil eye could have defeated the kaiju by himself. I want to say yes, maybe, perhaps, but that's here nor there. Right now, we then get to the next scene where you got Gamora, aka the kaiju, using Thunderbolt and basically electrocuting, the mech, again, smoking the ever-living shit out of it. And also to throw out there, I again, kind of going back to Evil Eye for a second, I just love how he's asking if the, giant kaiju is strong. It kind of reminds me of Goku in some regard, where it's like, hey, is that a strong opponent? I want to go up against him. But, anywho, we see that the kaiju is trying to stomp on Oakfern, only for, again, the goat to basically get that second wind, and then kind of reclaim or recontrol the mech and save him from getting smashed. And then he remakes the Gundam into his image, which, by the way, remember, the nanoskin, it has the ability to become anything so long as you can imagine. And the goat is able to imagine a mech from the inside out, meaning he knows exactly what he is doing. He is obsessed with Gundams the same way Oakfern is obsessed with cryptids. And also we get a hilarious scene where Momo is trying to, chew him out, only for him to basically just, turn off the phone, if you will. And again, an absolute hilarious scene because, come on, Momo, let the goat cook. Let him cook. And so we see that Gamora kind of, throws some punches, and so does Kenta. And it seems that they're kind of, going head to head. We get that classic, energy beam, reflection thing. And even though his arm gets blasted off, it's still cool as hell to see him get that hand, that blasted hand, and chuck it at the kaiju's face to put it back on. That was metal as hell. And then, and by the way, he's calling out his attacks with all these, attacks that he's doing. He then grabs the tail and does to, does to the kaiju what Mario does to Bowser in Mario 64, for those who know. And I absolutely love that Evil Eye and Oakfern are basically cheering this man on, and rightfully so, because the GOAT is delivering the smoke. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I have never, ever thought that this. I started reading the manga last year, and as I'm, was binge reading it, I never once thought there was gonna be a scene with a giant golden Gundam Buddha mech going toe to toe with a not just a kaiju, not just any kaiju, but Gamora no less. Uh, Tatsu, you are again the goat. You are the man. Oh god, this was just absolute peak. But we see that Kenta has, of course, Gamora in the his mouth. Gamora's about to use Thunderbolt again, and we get a flashback. Now, here's something to note. The anime stretched this scene, because in the manga it was just a short little, flashback scene. But in the manga, they kind of, stretched it with a little bit more dialogue and, things like that. And we get more, scenes of him getting bullied for liking the things that he likes. And I just want to say, don't ever let an asshole tell you you're too old to like anything. If you're a fan of whatever, then be a fan of whatever. Don't let dumbasses dictate how you can enjoy your life. But anyway, we see that the GOAT doesn't take this sitting down. Yeah, sure, he's got disrespected by peasants, but guess what? It's going to take a lot more than that to bring this GOAT down. And so he basically slam dunks Gamora's head, and another epic scene. And plus, we also get a little bit of information on, how he was able to, handle being in this kind of a condition, the G force or whatever. And apparently he's able to handle it thanks to, thanks to, uh, roller coasters. He's able to handle it thanks to roller coasters. Now, I don't know if this is legit or not. I don't know if this is a quote realistic. Yes, I know the hilarity of that statement, but it is just funny as hell to see that he is able to handle all this pressure thanks to going to I don't know any rides in Japan. For the sake of simplicity, we'll say Wild Adventures. But sadly, though, it looks like basically, he's at his limit almost. Again, Gamora's coming in with that tail whip, and the airbags are starting to kind of, choke him. And again, it looks like he is getting that smoke. He can't reach the control panel until turns out Momo, as well as the acrobatic Silky, are in the Gundam as well. And we find out that, I don't know if you want to say this was plot convenient, but it turns out that the Nanoscan Gundam can also take the ability of the user, meaning you got Momo and you got Airi being able to use their ability with the, with the Gundam. And this is just absolute freaking amazing. We see that Momo uses her ability to bring back her, well, not her, but bring back the robot's arms. And she, as well as the acrobatic Silky, using her hair to wrap around it to keep it from being invisible, basically launch it and throw it into the air to slam it down onto the ground. And I don't know, I forgot which one Luffy move this was, but I know there's a move that Luffy uses where he twirls his arms together using an attack. I forgot what that attack was called, but it turns out that right there is all they needed to beat the Kaiju. And just like that, sadly, they go back into the real world where everyone sees this giant mech. You got the phones coming out to take pictures, that classic gag. And it is hilarious how they're like, oh shit, we gotta, transform back into the house. Only to, of course, basically not get it right. And I do love how silly and ridiculous the house looks, like this Gundam house fusion abomination. And also Momo, as well as Ari, have to go hurl due to they can't handle the G-force or whatever it was again. And as they do, there's one teeny tiny thing they forgot. First, we see that people have taken pictures of the UFO, but also there is still a body of a kaiju in the middle of Tokyo, or Japan rather. And before we get to that scene, I just want to also throw out there, I love how we get to see Evil Eye basically being this giant kid, this evil kid, basically, because he goes up to like this tower or whatever, saying, hey, I'm not gonna come down unless we fight, and Okurin has to basically bribe him with a snack to, get him to come down, only for it to be a trick, so he can go back to being a TT. However, with that being said though, we then get to see them having to carry this big-ass kaiju, which, mind you, is the size of I want to say a car at this point. But as they do, Gigi and Okurin basically haul ass, and they're being followed by a lot of people. A lot of people with, cell phones, and again, it is just a miracle how no one, it brings basically, the police or whatever. But it turns out that, hey, they outran everybody, so props for that, and they finally make it home. They throw, of course, the kaiju onto the ground. We see the goat is gloating about how awesome he is, and rightfully so. The goat is able to gloat because he was the MVP. Yes, Momo and them did help, but in all fairness, it was him who was able to get the mech to basically be, well, the nanoskin to be used at its 100%. However, though, we see that, the body of the kaiju isn't a body of a kaiju, but a basically person in a kaiju suit. And this clearly is a reference and a gag to the whole Godzilla and any and every other, kaiju movie where it's just a guy in a rubber suit. It's fucking hilarious. And so as, Okurin finds a zipper to, unlock it, we see a mysterious girl. Now, before I end this, I do want to point out, I know who this is. I'm not going to say the name for obvious reasons, but she wakes up and her antennas light up as she looks at Okurin to kiss him, and then Momo comes in to see this, and she blows up the house. And mind you, Eri is still there. She's still struggling to get out. But thankfully this is a comedy, so it doesn't count 100%, as she, killed her, cleans it. And again, I'm glad that, Eri is okay. But with that being said though, I will point this out. So apparently there has been a change. First, Okurin's head was not in the shot there. So there's that. And also, in the manga, her hair is blonde. Not, I want to say, green. Like this kind of weird yellowish green, color. Now, granted, it's nothing major to complain about. It's not I guess you could say, a huge form of censorship. What I will say though is it is kind of weird that they changed the hair. Again, I don't know if that was Tatsu's original plan or what. But either way though, this was a great finishing episode, and it looks like they're going to do this habit of leaving on a cliffhanger. Because, you know, the last season they left with the whole hole in the wall and what the hell is in there. Well, this, they just left it with Momo, you know, killer cleaning the house. And as she sees this weird alien girl kiss Okran. And again, I know what's going to happen, so there's that. But you, the audience, doesn't know, so I highly recommend you go check the manga out ASAP. And also, of course, you know, support the source and blah blah blah, yakety smackety. But with that being said, though, again, we're getting a season 3, and also, again, thank you, creators. Thank you, Tatsu, the mangaka in question. Thank you, animators. And, of course, thank you, voice actors, English and Japanese. You have all done a fantastic job. And honestly, I, as well as everyone else, look forward to seeing Season 3. Because, guys, everything's going to get a bit more interesting. That the goat is going to shine a bit more, and it's going to be awesome. But with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, share it, and, you know, comment, you know, what you enjoyed about this overall season. And yes, so thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!